Las Vegas had seen greatness before, but this night carried a different weight. The lights burned brighter, the crowd buzzed louder, and the stakes felt heavier than any belt. Canelo Alvarez walked toward the ring as boxing's modern king, a fighter who had conquered champions across divisions, a man chasing history with fearless ambition. Moving to light heavyweight again was not just a fight, it was a statement. He wanted to prove there were no limits left to test. Across the ring stood Dmitry Bivol, the undefeated champion at 175 pounds, calm and expressionless, untouched by the noise. Bivol didn't speak in bold promises or sell fantasies, he trusted preparation. Raised on discipline, footwork, and balance, he believed structure could break even the most powerful star. This wasn't about popularity or pay-per-view numbers for him. This was about respect. The bell rang, and immediately the contrast was clear. Canelo stalked forward with confidence, shoulders tight, eyes locked. Bivol met him with distance, posture, and purpose. The jab snapped out early, not thrown to hurt, but to control. It was a signal that this fight would not be chaotic. It would be measured. Every step, every punch, every reaction mattered. The crowd watched closely as the question formed in real time. Could Canelo once again bend reality, or had he finally stepped into a division where precision outweighed power? As the early rounds unfolded, Dmitry Bivol began writing the story with his left hand. The jab came relentlessly, sharp, fast, and accurate, touching gloves, snapping heads, and forcing Canelo to reset again and again. Canelo advanced patiently behind his high guard, looking to counter with explosive hooks and overhand rights, but Bivol never stayed in range long enough to be punished. One step back, one step to the side, jab again. It was textbook boxing, elevated to an elite level. Even when Canelo landed power shots on arms and shoulders, Bivol showed no reaction. No panic, no retreat. The champion at 175 pounds controlled the geography of the ring, refusing to be trapped on the ropes, pivoting back to center every time danger approached. By the third round, the pattern was undeniable. Bivol was throwing more punches, landing more punches, and dictating the pace. Canelo, usually the one forcing opponents to adjust, was now the one reacting. The crowd began to sense it, not domination, but something just as dangerous, control. Canelo's punches were heavy, but they came one at a time. Bivol came in sequences, short combinations, clean exits, no wasted energy. This wasn't a fight of explosions, it was a fight of erosion. And slowly, round by round, the pressure began shifting toward the bigger man who refused to be impressed. The middle rounds carried a heavier tone. Canelo understood he needed to change something, and he began pressing forward with greater urgency. He dug shots to the body, loaded up on right hands, and tried to impose his strength. The punches sounded loud, echoing through the arena, but Bivol absorbed them calmly. Where others would slow down, he stayed consistent. Where others would trade, he chose precision. Every time Canelo stepped in with power, Bivol answered with clean combinations and immediate movement. The jab continued to sting, and the straight right followed it home. Around 6 and 7, frustration began creeping into Canelo's body language. His face showed redness. His breathing deepened. His rhythm broke. Meanwhile, Bivol looked unchanged, eyes focused, posture steady, footwork sharp. The Russian wasn't trying to knock Canelo out. He was trying to win every second. Punch counts climbed, and the judges' pens moved steadily in Bivol's favor. The crowd, once roaring for every Canelo advance, now reacted louder to Bivol's clean counters. This was supposed to happen. Canelo was supposed to figure it out. He always did, but this opponent wasn't giving him mistakes. Bivol stayed within himself, never loading up, never chasing glory. Discipline became the weapon. Intelligence became the shield. And for the first time in years, the idea became impossible to ignore. Canelo Alvarez was being outboxed. The championship rounds arrived, and this was where Canelo's legend was built. This was where he usually broke resistance with timing and violence, but the script refused to change. Bivol remained composed, sticking to the same plan that had brought him success from the opening bell. Jab, straight right, step out, reset again. Canelo chased, swung, and missed more often than he landed. His arms lifted high between rounds, a sign of fatigue rarely seen. The weight, the pace, and the discipline of his opponent were taking their toll. Bivol, the natural light heavyweight, absorbed shots that would have stopped smaller fighters. He didn't flinch, he didn't slow, he looked comfortable. By the 10th round, the arena understood what it was witnessing, not an upset fueled by luck, but a masterclass built on fundamentals. Bivol controlled distance, tempo, and space with quiet authority. Canelo fought on with pride and courage, but the answers weren't coming. Every exchange reinforced the same truth: intelligence was beating power. The crowd roared not in anticipation of a knockout, but in recognition of brilliance. This was boxing at its purest level, a technician dismantling a superstar without theatrics. Final round carried urgency for Canelo and calm for Bivol. Alvarez attacked the body, the arms, the guard, searching for something dramatic to turn the tide. Bivol blocked, countered, and continued jabbing until the final seconds melted away. When the bell rang, there was no wild celebration, only quiet confidence. The fighters waited as the judges read the scorecards. 115-113, 115-113, 115-113. Unanimous decision. Dmitry Bivol, the undefeated light heavyweight champion, had done what few believed possible. Canelo Alvarez had dared to chase greatness once again, and there was no shame in the attempt. But on this night, ambition met discipline, and discipline held firm. Bivol didn't knock Canelo out. He didn't overpower him. He did something far rarer. He controlled him. In a sport often defined by violence, Dmitry Bivol reminded the world that mastery still reigns supreme. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. A performance that will be remembered as the night a quiet champion stood unshaken against boxing's brightest star and proved that greatness can be challenged by precision, patience, and belief. When the noise faded and the belts were wrapped back around Dmitry Bivol's waist, the meaning of the night began to settle in. This wasn't just an upset, it was a reminder that boxing at its core still rewards preparation over reputation. Canelo Alvarez had entered the ring as the face of the sport, a man who had conquered champions across weight classes and eras, and even in defeat his courage remained unquestioned. He dared to chase greatness again, stepping into a division ruled by size, structure, and patience. But Bivol belonged there. This was his natural world. Every jab, every pivot, every calculated combination told the story of a fighter who trusted his craft completely. While Canelo searched for answers, Bivol executed solutions. The composure he showed under the brightest light spoke louder than any knockout ever could. In the aftermath, there was no gloating, only respect. Respect from the crowd, from analysts, and from the champion he had just defeated. For years, many believed no man could outbox Canelo Alvarez cleanly. On this night, that belief was rewritten. Bivol proved that greatness doesn't always announce itself with thunder. Sometimes it arrives quietly, with balance and timing, dismantling myths one round at a time. This victory didn't just elevate Dmitry Bivol, it redefined him. No longer just a disciplined champion, he became the standard. The fight will be remembered as the night boxing paused and took a breath, reminding the world that skill, when executed perfectly, can neutralize power, fame, and expectation. And long after the lights dimmed in Las Vegas, the truth of this night remained clear. Dmitry Bivol didn't just beat Canelo Alvarez, he taught the sport a lesson it will never forget. Boxing Studio.